welcome to the 9th episode of this season of War Machines. By the end of this episode, we will both have finished the opening round of this tournament, as there are 10 fights left to complete. And at the end of the episode, we will reveal the wild cards for all 3 classes. There are 20 great machines whom we will see fight in this one. We're looking to prove that they have what it takes to win the whole thing. This should be a very fun episode, so let's see who all is on tonight's fight card. Leading off the night, we have returning semi-finalists Death Roll and their vertical spinner, who will take on the lifter and flamethrower of Gruff. Second, we have the lifter of Clank 3, who will take on the crusher of Suicidal Tendencies. Up third, we have a flipper battle that you will not want to miss between Ironaw 7 and Ripper. Following that, we have the front hinge flipper of P1, who will take on the Axe of Ragnarok. Up fifth, we have the pushbot of King B, who will take on the vertical spinner of Valkyrie. Then we have the lifter of Biohazard, who will take on the horizontal spinner of Ruiner. There are no highlight fights tonight, so the next fight we have will be between the vertical spinner of Drizzle, who will take on the egg beater of Railgun Max. Following that, we have the flipper of Maelstrom, who will take on the hammerbot of Titan. Then next up, we have the vertical spinner of Inertia XL, who will take on the powerful flipper of Manta. And finally, we have tonight's main event, the last one of the opening round, where we will see the Daedalus and their powerful horizontal spinner, who will take on one of the most durable bots in Battlebots, Duck. That should be a fantastic main event. I cannot wait to get to it. This overall lineup is terrific. So now, let's get to this first fight, as I can't wait for this to begin. To lead off the night, we are in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class, where we will see Death Roll, a returning semi-finalist from last season, who will take on Gruff. On the left side, we have Death Roll, who dominated their way through their heat, but then ran into Hydra, the champion, in the first round of their semi-finals, who sent them out of the arena and out of the tournament. Death Roll is very well armored here. They have a powerful vertical spinner as well. But, of course, that vertical spinner is quite delicate, and as well, ground game was a major issue for them last season. Still, they'll probably put up a heck of a fight on their opponent, who happens to be Gruff, with a lifter and a flamethrower. Now as Gruff, they won their first fight in their heat, but then fell to Minotaur in the next round. Gruff is well known for being very durable and very reliable, but their forks are quite delicate, as we've seen in their fights and their heat, that they break quite easily. Still, this should be an interesting fight and an excellent one to lead it off, but before we do that, let's see some highlights from last season's semi-finalist. We saw Death Roll just annihilate their heat, prove that they are one heck of a bot to beat through the use of that vertical spinner. Now, as they gave their opponents a lot of trouble and stacked up some damage points for every one of them, and including they proved that they are very well armored and very durable, as they were able to take some massive hits from opposing spinner bots in their heats, which helped them get all the way through their heat and into the semifinals. But things did not go their way in their semifinal fight against Hydra, who just tossed them around the arena in this one. Fantastic fight there, but Death Roll struggled with control in that one. Still, Death Roll is back. They are a menace of a robot there. They will definitely be one tough bot to beat. Let's get to the fight now. Here we go. Death Roll and Gruff both racing right out of the gate, and Death Roll gets in a few nasty shots with that vertical spinner to start this fight. And it looks like Gruff's already taking damage to those forks. I see a few bits and pieces removed on there. It's going to make it a lot harder for Gruff to get underneath Death Roll and use that lifter to its full extent. I did see a piece of Death Roll's full spinner come off after that last exchange. That could be something to watch here. Right, but still, Death Roll is taking complete control of this fight to start it. This fight couldn't be going any better for them. A few more big shots to the front of Gruff, but Gruff overall is holding up very well to the punishment. And I do see a few more pieces of Death Roll's spinner here. Death Roll still, even with that damage that they took, they are still just beating on Gruff here. Just not giving them a chance, and right now Gruff is flipped over. They don't seem to be able to self-right. I see some smoke, but Death Roll helps them out. Excellent sportsmanship from them here. They want to keep the fight going. Gruff, they might be getting some of that flame inside Death Roll, but it doesn't seem to have been having great effects so far in this one. So we need to see Gruff get a major opportunity here, as so far it has been all Death Roll. We are approaching the halfway point in this fight here. Death Roll has been dominating almost the whole thing so far. We see Gruff flipped over again after taking a few more shots. Death Roll eyeing the Pit of Oblivion, backing right into the pit tire. There, the pit is now open. Countdown on Gruff, but Death Roll, they want to knock him down the Pit of Oblivion here. One more hit, and Gruff is down it, and Death Roll wins, and a dominant knockout there. What a lot of action we saw here right from the start. Both bots racing right out of the gate, but it was Death Roll who was winning a bunch of these exchanges. And after a few hits from Death Roll, those forks took a major beating as we saw major pieces taken out of them. But Death Roll, they did not come out of this one unscathed, as we saw a lot of bits of their vertical spinner come off in that fight. But still, even with that damage, they were still able to control the fight very well and reasonably easily as well. This shot right here was kind of the kill shot right there. Gruff just could not self-right, and Death Roll, a few more hits was all they needed to just push Gruff down the Pit of Oblivion. Fantastic win by Death Roll. Gruff, they will be in the hunt for a wild card. For our second fight of the night, we have Clank 3 and Suicidal Tendencies in the Robot Wars class. On the left side, we have Clank 3. That flipper has quite a lot of power to it if it can get underneath their opponents there. But of course though, their sides are quite vulnerable here to attacks from spinner bots and possibly their opponent, their Crusher. So that could be something to watch in a fight like this. Their opponent is Suicidal Tendencies, a Crusher bot. That they have a quite low to the ground wedge up front and a powerful Crusher that is effective combination. The treads that they have there gives them some excellent push power here. But of course though, those treads are reasonably exposed, and as well they are less effective when flipped over, but they can drive upside down, so those will definitely be something to watch. This should be one excellent fight, and let's get right to it. Here comes Suicidal Tendencies coming right out of the gate early, but knocking Clank 3 off balance to start this one, and they're dropping that Crusher right into the internals of Clank. Not the way Clank 3 was hoping to start this fight, as that Crusher is getting right into the internals. How much damage is it doing? Clank 3 does seem to be holding up to that Crusher reasonably well so far, but that could be something to watch in this one, as Suicidal Tendencies pushing Clank around, just out pushing them, trying to drop that Crusher on them again and inflict some more damage. As right now Clank 3 on their side right now, trying to self-right, get back right side up here and come at them with an attack, and they do here. But now Suicidal Tendencies back on the attack, they're underneath them once again, trying to land that Crusher here, but struggling to do so right now. Clank 3 is in a lot of trouble right now, and we're now past the 1 minute mark in this fight. 2 minutes left to go in this fight, is what I mean to say by that. Suicidal Tendencies just out pushing Clank, and there's a flip by Clank! Suicidal Tendencies can drive upside down, but they can't use that crusher as well as they can right side up here. Could this be a game changer in this one? Suicidal Tendencies continuing to come right at Clank, trying to push them around here. Maybe they can get them down the pit of Oblivion, as it is open right now. As Suicidal Tendencies has them against the rails, they're underneath them. Clank 3 gotta get out of there, do something fast while Suicidal Tendencies is upside down. Suicidal Tendencies pushes Clank 3 down the pit and wins this one in an impressive KO. I gotta say, the outcome of this fight was a lot different than what I expected to see. We saw Suicidal Tendencies getting in there right away. That was probably the only major bite we saw out of Suicidal Tendencies right there. Managed to get into the internals there, but Clank did hold up very well in this fight. Hey, and Suicidal Tendencies, even though they didn't use that crusher much, they did control majority of this match. This was the big moment in this fight, where Suicidal Tendencies lost the effective use of that crusher, but it was amazing. Even while upside down, they were still able to outpush Clank 3 and manage to push them down the pit of Oblivion. Fantastic win for them. We stay in the Robot Wars class for our next battle, where we will see RA2 and Ripper, a flipper battle. Two very similar designs here. I might as well just introduce both of them, as these are two very powerful flippers. Both of them are very low to the ground, and of course with each of them, their sides are very vulnerable. So I imagine these two will either be trying to outmaneuver each other or go head on and see which one of these two bots is the lower to the ground machine. I suspect that could determine the winner, but you never know when it comes to flipper battles, as we've seen one flipper control the beginning of the fight, but still manage to fall at the end of the match here. Could that possibly happen here? Either way, this should be one heck of a fight, as we have two very similar designs here. Let's find out the result of this one. This one should be good. Here comes RA2 right out of the gate here, but now they're getting underneath Ripper and lands a big flip there. RA2 aiming towards the pit, opens up the pit of Oblivion, but now Ripper's right side up and on the attack here. Another flip by RA2. And now back on the attack. These two trying to outmaneuver the other. We saw Ripper almost get underneath RA there. And there's a big flip by RA. RA just launching Ripper right up into the air. Another flip there. Here comes RA pushing them around towards the arena walls and flips them out of the arena in 36 seconds. What a KO here. I expected this fight was going to last a lot longer than that. So we got two powerful flippers entering the arena here. RA proved that they are the lower to the ground machine between the two of them. So we saw them getting underneath Ripper relatively easily and then gave them some airtime. Yes, this one was probably the most impressive flip, giving them a ton of airtime, launching them high in the air. And then it wasn't long after that before RA launched the kill shot here. Managed to toss them out of the arena. Fantastic win for RA. Ripper will definitely be in the hunt for a wild card. We go to the Battlebots and Bugglebots class for our next fight, where we have P1 and Ragnarok meeting in our next one. We have P1 with their front hinged flipper. They fell in the first round of their heat in a relatively close one against Whiplash. This bot is very low to the ground, and they have a lot of flips at their hand. Of course, though, they do have those exposed sides and exposed tires that their opponents might try to take advantage of. On the other side, we have Ragnarok with an axe for their weapon. This bot is very fast, and it is very maneuverable. but then they do have that exposed backside and those exposed wheels, which their opponents also may try to take advantage of. We have two very different bots about to fight in this one, so this should be a very interesting fight. I am looking forward to this one. Let's get to it. Here comes Ragnarok speeding right out of the game. They take a flip from P1. P1 taking control of this fight early, getting Ragnarok in the corner, but Ragnarok gets away. Look at that driving ability, this quickness of Ragnarok. That bot is very fast here, but they are still getting tossed around by P1. There was a couple of big flips by P1 and their front hinge flipper. P1 definitely showing off what they can do, especially after their Season 1 performance. While they did get eliminated early last season, this bot is still a very impressive design, and it is showing that last season has possibly been a fluke here. Just controlling this fight right from the beginning. I see a little smoke coming out of Ragnarok here. That can't be good. That's signs of damage from that flipper on P1. Ragnarok trying to outmaneuver P1, but struggling to do so here. We see them getting flipped once again here. Ragnarok using that axe to self-right and effectively doing it. And now another bunch of flips from P1. They got Ragnarok in the corner. Ragnarok's got to get out of there, and fast. Now as Ragnarok taking themselves in the rail, they need to get some breathing room, but P1 is just not allowing that. They're just denying that. We are approaching the halfway point in this fight, and P1 has been on top for almost the whole thing so far. Now as Ragnarok getting taken into each corner here, could P1 take them into the last one, could take them into all four corners of this arena. Ragnarok finally gets away, gets some breathing room. We're getting ready to launch an attack, but struggling to get at P1 at the right angle. There's a big hit that P1 goes flying. Don't think that was really credit to Ragnarok though, but still. 1 minute left in this fight. Ragnarok needs to get something going here, as we haven't seen much out of them in that axe so far. As here we go, and now Ragnarok getting a few hits there underneath P1, landing a few axe shots there. They're doing some damage there, but P1 seems to hold up really well. Both bots nearing the Pit of Oblivion. Oh! Both bots almost had a trip down the Pit of Oblivion. That was a dangerous move by both machines right there, as we saw both of them nearly fall down the pit. But now P1 has Ragnarok in the corner, just launching that front hinge flipper at them like crazy, but it is still working to perfection for them, as Ragnarok just isn't able to do much about it. Near approaching the 10-second mark in this fight. 10 seconds left, no countdowns will be coming here, as I think this one is going to the judges. And it is, as this one is now in the hands of the 3 judges. And this one, I'm not sure, honestly, if this one could be an easy one or if this one could be a close one. Who knows? We saw P1 just racing right at Ragnarok at the early go. Getting in a lot of shots with that front hinge flipper, which may come into effect in this one. Now, as we saw them completely dominating, I would probably say 80 to 90% of this fight here with that thing, as they were just keeping Ragnarok on their head in the corner, just not allowing Ragnarok to really do much about it. This was kind of the one big moment. The question is, was it enough for Ragnarok? We saw them land a few big shots, but yeah, still, the question will definitely be, was that enough, and how effective were those hammer shots that we saw them land? But then, from there, it was all P1 once again. I suspect this one may be an easy decision, but you don't want to count out fights that go to the judges, as anything could happen in their hands. Let's get to the decision, and let's find out what they said. The votes are in, and the judges unanimously scored this battle in favor of P1. I do support this decision, as P1 controlled the majority of this fight. I feel like this was probably one of the easier decisions that the judges have had to judge so far, but still, Ragnarok should be in an okay place for a wild card here. I could totally see them getting one. Now on to the next fight here, where we have King Bee and Valkyrie from the Robot Wars class. On the left side, we have King Bee with spikes for their weapon, along with a lifter in there, which is not included. This bot has a lot of push power, it is very fast, it is very maneuverable. Their big weakness though are those exposed sides and possibly those exposed wheels there, as those could be problematic depending on who they're going up against. On the right side we have Valkyrie and their vertical spinner. That spinner has a lot of power to it, and it is quite well armored, especially in the front area. But of course, their own stability and possibly their ground game are their big weaknesses here, which will be stuff to watch in this one. This should be a very exciting fight. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get to the match. Here we go, King Bee charging right out of the gate, charging into Valkyrie and knocking them off balance with their right side up and landing a hit to the front of King Bee here. But Valkyrie pushing them into the rails there. But King Bee is now flipped over. Valkyrie is spinning out of control as of now, but now their right side up and pushing them into the rails again is King Bee. King Bee using their push power to their advantage, but what's this? Valkyrie appears to be stuck in between rails there. That spinner looks stuck and right now they're being counted out. King Bee appears to be trying to help them out, charging right in them, trying to knock them out of that position, but Valkyrie has been counted out and King Bee wins in a very quick KO. Gotta say, yeah, this is another one where this was not even close to the outcome that I thought we were going to see. We saw King Bee just constantly getting underneath Valkyrie, just taking control of them, clearly had the much bigger push power, but then right here, their spinner, Valkyrie's spinner just got stuck there, right in between the rails where they couldn't move. Valkyrie had a very noble act trying to dislodge there, but they just could not get them out from there, and Valkyrie is counted out, and King Bee won this fight in 40 seconds. We have our first fight in the DSL class next, where we will see Biohazard take on Ruiner. On the left side, we have Biohazard, a very well-known flipper bot from the Comedy Central era of Battlebots. This thing is very well armored, it is quite low to the ground, and it's got a very effective lifter there. But its big problem is that maneuverability and speed aren't as strong as a lot of the other contenders here. Still, this will definitely be a bot to watch in this one. Their opponent is Ruiner, who very well could be Biohazard's kryptonite if they are not careful there. Ruiner has a horizontal spinner at their arsenal. That spinner is very large, especially at the front area. But their big problem is their backside and as well their own stability. They can self-right through the use of their spinner, but still, that's still something that Biohazard will probably attempt to take advantage of, but we'll find out. Let's get to this fight. Here we go, Ruiner getting that spinner up to speed. Here comes Biohazard charging right in there. Ruiner's already out of control. They're already off balance. Biohazard, despite the range that Ruiner has with that horizontal spinner with it going, getting underneath them with ease, even from the front there. That was not what I expected to see. Biohazard almost got another lift right from the backside. That was where Ruiner did not want to show. That's a shot that Ruiner does not want to show to a bot like Biohazard here. Biohazard holding up brilliantly to that horizontal spinner so far, taking a few hits and then getting a big lift in there. This is big time control and aggression points for Biohazard so far in this one. And they get another big lift, giving Ruiner some air time. Ruiner spinning out of control, trying to use that spinner to get back on their feet, and they do. Now as Ruiner gotta get some breathing room here, Biohazard is on the chase right now, getting another big lift in there on Ruiner. Ruiner's just gotta get out of there, get some breathing room, get that spinner to speed, and hit Biohazard in a place where it really hurts. But right now, Biohazard just not allowing any of that to happen. Ruiner has that horizontal spinner turned off right now, but now it's back going. First I thought it was possibly dead or something. Halfway through this fight here, Biohazard definitely has the lead in this one, and so far. But still, there's still a minute 30 seconds coming that could change that. We see a couple more jabs from that horizontal spinner, but Biohazard just getting in there, jamming up that spinner, and getting some lifts into their own, and almost out of the arena went Ruiner. A few more impressive lifts from Biohazard got them in the corner here, right where Biohazard would like them. And that spinner is down right now, but who knows for how long. 1 minute left to go in this fight. Biohazard's got the lead on points. Ruiner may need a miracle, may need to win this fight by knockout. As Ruiner flipped upside down, but Biohazard does help them right themselves, but Biohazard's underneath them once again. Ruiner trying to get away here so that way they could get some hits in with that spinner, but that's just still not happening. Biohazard's got them up against the rails once again and gets another big lift in. The points are just stacking up in favor of Biohazard here if this one happens to go the full 3 minutes. Less than 30 to go. Biohazard pushing them near the floor flipper. Got them up against the rails once again. Another massive lift. A couple more lifts by Biohazard. Ruiner taking another lift going across the arena, and they're out of the arena with 11 seconds left on the clock, and Biohazard wins it by a automatic KO. Wow. Lots of action here. Complete domination by Biohazard. As for the fight that I saw, Ruiner definitely got some big jabs in there, but Biohazard held up so well to the punishment. Managed to jam up that spinner so many times while taking minimal damage, and then get a ton of action in with that lifter. Biohazard just so dominant. Like, this has got to be a bot to watch, as that was a fantastic KO that they got here. Fantastic show they put on for us. This would definitely be the big scene here. Now as Biohazard coming in for one more lift, and Ruiner then goes across the arena and honestly sends themselves out of the arena trying to self-right. Still, fantastic fight. We go back to the Battlebots and Bugglebots class for our next battle, which is between the large vertical spinner of Drizzle and the egg beater of Railgun Max. On the left side, we have Drizzle, a massive vertical spinner bot from Bugglebots, a two-time competitor there. That spinner has a lot of power to it, as we could definitely see it causing a big bit of destruction in this fight. But of course, they do have those exposed wheels, and their own stability could be a problem in this one. Those will be something to watch in this one. On the other side, we have Railgun Max and their egg beater. That egg beater has a lot of power to it and also could cause some damage in a fight like this. They also have the issue of exposed wheels. Then there's also their backside. Some of their parts are kind of delicate too. Some potential stuff that we could see Drizzle take advantage of. Lots of stuff that either bot could take advantage of in this one, which means that this should be a great fight. I can't wait for it, and let's now get to what should be an excellent matchup. Here we go, Railgun Max getting that sprint speed, as is Drizzle. Drizzle came charging out the gate, but I saw a few pieces came off of Drizzle after that first exchange. Another massive shine. Drizzle is spinning out of control here. A couple big shots by Railgun Max. They seem to be getting the better of these collisions so far. Drizzle seems to be taking some damage here, but now Drizzle spinning out of control here. Railgun Max pushing them near the rails, pushing them into a corner. There's a couple big shots, but what about Railgun Max? They seem off balance here. What about Drizzle as well? They're flipped over and I don't see them moving. Railgun Max, they take a shot from the spike strip, but look at their drum spinner. Their drum spinner appeared to take some damage in that exchange. But what about Drizzle? They are not moving here and a countdown is coming on them. It is looking like Railgun Max is going to win this by knockout in less than a minute here. Wow. Short fight, not too much action, but a dominant victory for Railgun Max here. As ever since the first exchange, we saw them taking a bunch of bits and pieces off of Drizzle. I'm not sure if those are part of the front or part of the weapon or who knows what. But Railgun Max seemed to be winning the exchanges early on. This was kind of like the death blow from Railgun Max, but they did not come out unscathed after this part here. This hit was probably what ended it here. But we see also a big piece of Railgun Max's drum spinner come off there. That will be something to watch. Could be a potential concern for Railgun Max for the rest of the season. Still, great win by Railgun Max. Drizzle, we could definitely see them in the hunt for a wild card spot. We go back to the Robot Wars class for our next fight, where we have Maelstrom take on Titan. On the left side, we have Maelstrom and their flipper. That flipper is low to the ground, and they have a pretty effective flipper. Their big problem are those two juicy tires there. They are relatively exposed, so we could see their opponents potentially try to take advantage of that. Their opponent is Titan with their hammer. That hammer has quite a bit of power to it, as we could see it cause quite a bit of damage. But their main issue here is that if they get flipped over, they tend to struggle to self-right. It is possible that they can self-right through the use of their hammer, but they do sometimes have a hard time with that. And the big problem is that they're kind of up against a flipper. We'll have to find out how Titan changes their game plan and their driving ability for a bot like this. I sure want to find out the result of this one. I'm sure you want to as well. Let's get right on to it. Here comes Maelstrom. Get on the attack. Here is Titan on the chase, but Titan is flipped over right away. But Maelstrom flips him over, helps him out. It's like they did not want the quick knockout there. Great sportsmanship. I love the sportsmanship we've been seeing this season from many teams. Now Titan appears to be on the chase here, but that hammer's in forward position. Could that be a problem? And a big flip by Maelstrom, but Titan does land right side up. Now is trying to land a few hammer shots. Looks like they just missed a few shots. It's Titan here. Another missed shot, but Titan takes a shot from the floor flipper, but once again they land right side up. Tons of swings and misses for Titan so far. Still, this is anybody's game. I think that was a hammer shot not long ago. Opening up the pit is Maelstrom. Titan's still on the chase here. Maelstrom has been on the run for a lot of this one. There's a flip by Maelstrom, but Titan does manage to self-right through their hammer. And another flip by Maelstrom. Titan and self-rights after getting pushed a little bit by Maelstrom. Another lift by Maelstrom there. They seem to be taking control of this fight, but don't count out Titan, as I saw them nearly hit Maelstrom again with that hammer. Now, there we go. We got push battle and a few hammer shots by Titan, but Titan gets sent flying again. What a fight this has been. We are halfway through it. This fight has been reasonably close so far, but I gotta give the edge to Maelstrom, as I think Titan probably falling a little behind on points thanks to the use of that flipper. A few more flips there by Maelstrom, landing a few good ones there. What a fight this has been. We are approaching the 1 minute mark in this fight. As right now, Titan, I think they need to get a few more hammer shots in and potentially do some more damage here if this fight happens to go the distance. as right now I think they are behind on points with a little less than a minute to go, but Titan ends up down the pit of oblivion there. Big collision and Titan ends up being the one down it. Maelstrom wins by KO here. We saw a big flip right out of the gate there. Looks like it wasn't even from the flipper Maelstrom there. Looks like Titan just went over Maelstrom and ended up flipping themselves over, but Maelstrom helped himself right, and then we saw some big action from that flipper there. We saw a couple big flips, big effective flips. This was kind of the big moment for Titan. We did see Maelstrom push them around, but they took a few hammer shots before Titan got tossed in the air again. Fantastic fight here. We saw quite a few very entertaining flips there. Now, this one was a heck of a show for us to watch. Maelstrom, we'll definitely see them in the next round. Titan, I bet they are in a decent place for a wild card. The worst place to make a driving mistake would probably be right here. Went over the top of Maelstrom and ended up the one down the pit of oblivion. What a fight we just saw. The next one that you won't want to miss is still in the Robot Wars class once again. We have Inertia XL, who will be taking on Manta. On the left side, we have Inertia XL, as said in the previous sentence, with a vertical spinner. That spinner has quite a bit of power to it, but of course their exposed sides may be a major issue for this one, especially against lots of opponents, like potentially this one right here. Their opponent is Manta with their flipper. That is one powerful flipper, potentially one of the most powerful flippers in the competition. Is that thing? Yeah, that thing does have a lot of power to it. But the big problem there, they do have those exposed sides, just like what Inertia XL has. And as well, if they have a misflip, they could potentially flip themselves over in the process or even show their backside to their opponents, which could be potential issues, stuff that Inertia XL may try to take advantage of. Who wants to see Inertia XL go flying, or potentially Manta taking a ton of big damaging shots to the backside? I sure want to find out what happens here. Let's go ahead and get to the second to last fight of the night. Here we go, Manta coming right out of the gate here. There's a misflip right there. This is exactly what they've been trying to avoid, and now Inertia XL landing some shots on the backside. But Manta seems to be holding up very well, as right now they are on the attack with that flipper, trying to get underneath, and a near flip there by Manta. Inertia XL doing a very good job of avoiding that flipper so far and getting some jabs in with that vertical spinner. The big problem is I'm not sure how much damage they are doing with that spinner. Manta seems to be holding up very well to the punishment right now. There's a big flip, the first one we've been seeing, and Inertia XL goes flying all the way to the ceiling, and another flip! Two amazing flips by Manta here. They're just showing off the power in that flipper here, as it is one of the most powerful flippers in the competition. At least in this class, potentially the whole competition too. We saw a misflip there and a ton of jabs from that spinner, but they get another big flip and toss Inertia XL out of the arena for the knockout. Great fight that was here. Got some replays for you here. A bunch of these misflips may have been costly for Manta, as we saw Inertia XL take advantage of the opportunity, get a bunch of big hits in with that spinner here. But it wasn't long after this stuff when Manta started to get some big flips in, and wow, did Inertia XL go flying and get some airtime here. We saw them get a ton of big flips like that one here. Twice we saw Inertia XL just hit the ceiling of this arena. And then right here was the kill shot here. Just toss them clean out of the arena to get the KO. Last but not least, we have tonight's main event and the last opening round battle here, where we will be in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. we have Daedalus and Duck for this main event. On the left side, we have Daedalus, a returner from last year where they were the runner-up in their heat and then fell in a really close wildcard rumble or last chance rumble. Well, either way, Daedalus is not one to mess around with. They are coming off of an impressive rookie in War Machine season. That horizontal spinner has a lot of destructive power to it, as I bet we will see quite a bit of destruction out of it. Its big issue is those two exposed wheels, and potentially their own stability as well. Those could be stuff their opponent may try to take advantage of. Their opponent, as said, is Duck, who had a first round exit last season when they ran into Nightmare in their heat. Duck has a lifter for their arsenal that I imagine they will be trying to use for Daedalus' stability potential issue. This bot is very durable as it's quite well armored, but of course they do have those exposed wheels and their front tends to be relatively delicate here in this game. We'll have to find out, knowing Duck is a very durable machine, how well they can stand up to the destructive power of Daedalus' horizontal spinner. I sure want to find out, as this should be a very exciting main event, but before we get to that, let's see some highlights from one of these two contenders. Last season, Daedalus proved they would not go down easy, showing off some destructive power with that horizontal spinner, one of the most destructive weapons in the game. But of course, things did not go their way when they ran to Death Roll in their heat final, and had a very close going in their last chance rumble with Apollo and Thunderchild that unfortunately did not go their way. But Daedalus is back, looking to show off that destructive power and use it and go for a War Machine's title. Now our main event begins. Daedalus getting that sprint to speed. Here comes Duck charging right out of the gate, trying to use that lifter to send Daedalus out of control here. But so far it's not going well because I see pieces of Duck going flying already. Already a bunch of bits of that lifter it looks like, and part of one of the wheels came off too. Off comes another part of a wheel. Oh, there. Duck, they are holding up reasonably well, but the damage is starting to stack up here, and they lost a wheel. Duck has one wheel on their right side here, and a big piece of their lifter just got removed. Not the way Duck was hoping to start this one. Another big shot, a few big shots, and Duck is smoking. This is not the way they were hoping to start this one, as they seem to be taking major damage in the first minute of this fight. A couple more big shots, and the control board falls on Duck, and Daedalus wins in less than a minute. Wow, I was honestly expecting this fight to go the full 3 minutes, knowing how durable Duck is, but we saw Daedalus come out firing. We saw Duck coming out with a complete aggression here, but Daedalus still got a ton of major damaging blows here. Notice we saw Duck's lifter just get beat up. We saw Duck lose drive, a partial drive on one side here. And it wasn't long before Daedalus got a ton more big shots and destroyed major parts of the lifter, caused their internals to start smoking, and after that, their control board just couldn't handle the punishment, and Daedalus managed to destroy it for the instant KO. What a main event that was. What an episode. What a terrific lineup. Great bunch of fights to end the opening round. We saw 10 terrific machines advance, and I could definitely see some of the bots who didn't win their fight getting a wild card, which will be announced in less than a minute from now. As for the stars of the night, Death Roll, Biohazard, Daedalus, and Railgun Max all had very impressive returns to the arena tonight. Iron Awe 7 had a very impressive debut themselves. The big star of the night has to go to Manta, who showed off their powerful flipper and proved that they will not go down easy. Let's now get to the wild cards. wildcards were determined based off of the bot's performance in their first fight, the potential the design has to win it all, and other factors that show that they deserve a second chance in this tournament. Before I announce those, I would like to say that picking the wildcards for this were very difficult for all three classes. All of them had so many contenders whom I wanted to give a wildcard to, as there were so many worthy bots of another chance. All classes had at least double the worthy contenders compared to the number of wildcard spots I had to give out. There will probably be some people that think that one bot should have gotten a wildcard over another, but that's okay. I probably was thinking of them and did have them as a worthy wildcard contender. Let's now get to what you are waiting for and announce who all will get another chance at the tournament and whom we will be seeing in the next round. Up first, we have the DSL class. This class is much smaller, and so only 7 wildcards were given out. Those wildcards are Complete Control, Mechavore, Ronin, Son of Waiachi, Thermidor 2, Vlad the Impaler, and Ziggo. Congrats to all 7 of these contenders, and I cannot wait to see what they can do in the next round of this tournament. All 7 of these were worthy wildcard contenders. Now we have the Robot Wars class. Reminder, the competitor field is doubled for this class, so there are many more wildcards given out here, 14 total. Wildcards are Barbarous, Behemoth, Black Hole, Breaker Box, Eric, Gabriel, Hypnodisc, Kapow, Mantis, Nuts, Revolutionist, Ripper, Splinter, and Titan. Yeah, we have 14 very worthy competitors. I cannot wait to see this bunch in the next round, as I expect these 14, we could see some of them as a major threat to some of the others. Last but not least, we have the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. 14 wildcard spots were given out here as well as in the Robot Wars mod, as the competitive field is the same there. The wildcards are Annie, Are You Okay?, Bloodsport, Bourbon 2, Catalyst, Duck, Gigabyte, Lucky, Nelly the Ellibot, Rainbow, Saw Loser, Shark Satrakian, Son of Waiachi, Thunderchild, and Tombstone. Congrats to all 14 of these bots, and I cannot wait to see what they manage to accomplish in the next round of the tournament for this class. Once again, big congrats to all bots that were awarded a wild card. We will see all of them in the next round, and I expect some of them could go quite far in the tournament, as some of them showed major potential in their opening round matchup. If there's a bot you think should have gotten a wild card who didn't, I will remind you that this was a very tough decision, and there were a lot of tough choices out there, as there were so many contenders whom I wanted to give a wild card to, but I was out of spots that I could give out for the next round. Most likely, the bot that you think should have gotten a wild card was one of many whom I found to be a very worthy contender for the next round, but ended up missing the cut. Quite a few of those are bots whom we will get to see fight in the arena once again in a bonus fight. Everyone who made it into the first round will be seeded and placed into the bracket for their class. Those will be revealed, as well as the fight card for the next episode, on my Instagram, so be sure to follow in the green square if you don't already for sneak peeks like that. We will show off and talk about the bracket in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the next episode if you choose not to do something like that or don't see it. As expected, we will begin the first round of the bracket in the next episode, so more destruction and chaos is on the way. We've seen so many great fights so far, and we are just getting started. I will hopefully see you next time.